the other day we were shooting a commercial.
Yes.
And I had the idea to grab a close-up. It wasn't planned or anything, but I wanted to get it because I was like, we don't have any close-ups of this product.
We were on set.
Yeah.
We were rolling through our shot list.
Yeah,
we're like, this is going great.
Last-minute decisions.
But then you were like, hey, maybe we should get a shot of this. And I was initially like, well, it's not planned, so we don't need to.
But we got it anyway.
But then you were like, but then I was like thinking about it. I'm like, I think maybe Steve might be onto something here.
Yeah.
And so we got the close-up.
Yeah.
And the way you defined it was the gratuitous close-up.
Yes.
It was that.
It was the blatant product placement close-up.
Yes. Well, I mean, it was for a it was for a product, I guess. And obviously we're trying to sell that product for our client. And so
today I thought it would be kind of good to just talk about the importance of getting close-ups.
The planning of close-ups.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and maybe both the importance of getting them, but I think also planning them.
Yeah.
For some reason, we don't seem to plan them a lot.
Yeah. But we always need them.
Yeah. So it's always a good reminder of like, did you get enough close-ups?
Yeah. So
it's interesting. I feel like sometimes I always feel like we play to like either end of a scale. Like we never find like that happy medium. We're either always shooting a ton of close-ups and never enough establishing shots or wide shots, or the opposite.
Mm.
We're always shooting too many establishing shots and too many wide shots and not enough close.
Right.
I think it just comes down to the pre-visualization and planning of your project.
Yeah.
I mean, we storyboard stuff, but we'll just
Sure.
be like, yeah, this is what I was thinking.
Right.
This is what, and then we'll look at it and be like, that's fine.
But as you're going through it, sometimes you don't always, like when we were planning it out and actually storyboarding it, it didn't seem at that moment necessary to get a close-up. But then once we were actually here framing, watching, the product was supposed to go in her hand, in this actor's hand,
be handed to her.
And we thought in that moment, that's when we see it, that's going to be the hero shot kind of the product. And then it totally wasn't. It was like, it's kind of back there. It's
you couldn't even tell what it was. It was maybe
right.
I don't know, a quarter of the frame size.
Yeah.
So you were just like, what am I even looking at?
Right.
So definitely a good call to you.
Oh, thanks.
This
isn't like a pat on the back day for me.
You deserve it.
Thanks.
But I do find it interesting that we've been doing this for so long now, and every project you think you plan and you prep and you storyboard, and I mean, to be critical, my drawing skills are hellacious. The fact that you can even halfway understand what I'm trying to communicate is...
It's only because we've been working together for a while.
Yeah.
If you were somebody I did not know very well,
you would not want.
It would not be.
No.
It would not be the same story.
We do use Artemis, which is a great storyboarding app on your phone. It's expensive. It's like $40, and they updated it, which made me mad. So I have to buy the new version. They didn't just let me update it, so that made me mad. But it's a very helpful tool because for the drawing impaired like myself, it's a really great way to visually communicate. This is what I'm thinking.
Right.
But even when we're going through that stuff, a lot of times it feels like you miss those close-up detail shots. We've shot shorts where we're just like, I can't believe we didn't even think about getting this close-up. And then we had to go back and shoot that pickup. And you're in the edit and you're just like, you're totally not thinking about the importance of close-ups.
Right.
And what makes it, I guess, what makes a close-up important? Why get them? Why do you need, when we're in those moments, we're editing and we don't have those close-ups, what are we complaining about?
I mean, it's one of two things. Close-ups both give you an understanding of the important thing to look at. It's telling the audience, hey, look at this, and it's giving them an in-depth look at what you're trying to show them. The other thing is it gives you cut points. It gives you cutaway points.
Which save your butt.
No, there's been so many times where you know what? We could totally cut this entire chunk of dialogue or this extraneous thing, or we could chop down on this person's interview if we just had more cutaways, if we just had more close-ups.
We had something. And cutaways don't always have to be a close-up.
No, but for the sake of talking about close-ups.
A lot of times, when we're talking about like a narrative scene where there's dialogue being shared back and forth, a lot of times when we're editing, we find it very important that we get a close-up of the reaction of the other party.
Yeah.
Because it's, in my opinion, more important to see someone reacting to what they're being told than watching the person who's saying it.
Yeah, right.
It's like, okay, you're talking, good job. Right. But like, how is the other person feeling? What is their emotion in the scene?
And not even just reactions of the other person, because I think that's super
important. Could be actions.
But yeah, get a close up of their hands, what their hands are doing.
But that's what's really difficult sometimes, because, and this comes down to really solid directing.
Yep.
And being able to get everything out of your actors that you want as a director, but knowing what those subtleties are and why. So like, and planning for those, sometimes it's almost impossible.
Seems like it.
If you have a scene where two bad guys are talking, right, and or two people with guns are talking, well, maybe one's good, one's bad, I don't know. Anyway, and as the other one talks, the other party is reaching down slowly for his gun, and it's like, okay, well, why am I showing that?
Right.
If he's reaching down slowly for his gun to just hand him a business card, that's a totally different feeling than if he reaches down for his gun, pulls it out, and they get into a Mexican standoff or whatever, and they blast each other to death, like in Inglourious Bastards.
Well, and then conversely, if you're showing the close-up of the person going for their gun, why are you not showing a close-up of the other person's reaction? Because then you're setting up while the other person's not noticing.
Right.
So, there's so much you can do with a close-up.
And this is where you have to really think about the anatomy of a scene and the importance of, what do I need to do to visually communicate that? And a close-up is a very important moment.
Yeah.
Or an important tool that you should use in your narrative and visual storytelling.
Right. And in product shoots, you gotta have your hero. You gotta
gratuitous.
You gotta have the blatant. Here's the product.
I mean,
Please look at it.
We have worked on projects as editors for people, television series and shows and stuff, where we're just like writing the producer or the director, and we're like, hey, any close-ups of these? And they're like, well, you have all the footage. And we're like, so no.
And we're editing?
Yeah. And we're like, no, you have no close-ups of these. Yeah. And they're like, no. And I'm like, is it possible to get any?
Yeah.
No. Okay, this is going to be a really boring scene.
Yeah, we have a 10-minute scene, and we have about 7 wides to edit with.
Yeah, right. We have all of these great establishing shots. Beautiful.
Yeah, good job.
Beautiful establishing shots.
Couple cool interviews.
We know where we are.
Yeah. No close-ups.
Nothing.
None.
I care nothing about what they're doing in the
scene.
Right. And that's really painful sometimes, because you're just like, you're pulling at your hair saying, just wake up. But the problem is, and that just comes with time, skill, and a very high level of intentionality for a director to every time be able to nail it perfectly.
Of course.
And this is why films take so long to create. Not just the production schedule of, standard 120 production days, but also all the years of pre-pro and development to get into it, and the storyboarding and going through the film shot by shot and seeing, in this moment, these two characters are squaring off in dialogue, but then what else is happening in the scene of interest?
So I think what you just said is really important, of like capturing the thing of interest. And I think that's what ultimately the close-up does. Yes, it gives you good cutaway points. And that's awesome, especially in documentary filmmaking, but focusing on the point of interest and I think that's the best way that you can pre-plan your close-ups, is during this scene or commercial or interview or whatever you're doing, what is the primary thing of interest? You cannot have enough close-ups of that.
Right. Well, and to kind of like reiterate what you were saying, like a close-up is not meant to save your butt in the edit.
Right. It is.
That is a benefit of a close-up.
Yes.
It is not. You don't get close-ups because you need cutaways. That's not the mentality you should have.
No.
You need close-ups because you need to visually communicate to your audience what is important in this moment.
Right. Like the thing we were shooting, we needed to communicate The client's product, that's the thing you should be focusing on at this moment.
And it's not absolutely important that you even communicate the most valuable thing in a scene through a close-up all the time.
Yeah.
Because there are expert filmmakers who are very creative in communicating what's important in a scene without showing a close-up.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah.
But what we're talking about is when you use a close-up, why are you using it? And most of the time it's to convey the point of importance.
Yeah.
Really establish something on a pedestal and say, and I think it's very, going back to it, it's absolutely imperative. Even if you end up throwing it, like I'm thinking about like a couple of the short films we're working on. Sometimes we have close-ups and we throw them away because we're like, oh, it's better to just stay in the wine shot here if the tension stays stronger or something, right?
Sure.
You're just like, this seems better. But still shoot it.
Yeah.
Always shoot it.
Yeah.
And like. It's even gotten kind of formulaic for me a little bit, where like I don't follow it all the time because sometimes I'm just an airhead, I guess. but having a checklist: did I get an establishing shot? Check. Did I get a medium shot? Check. Did I get a close up? Check. Did I get an extreme close up? Maybe it wasn't needed, but yes, check. And it's things like that, and like that's a great place to start.
Yeah,
it's just like if you did that, you're gonna have a healthier scene. Whereas if you just shot a wide establishing in a medium,
right?
It's like at least shoot it and give your editor options, or you the editor options in post production.
So get your close up.
You get your close up. You get your close up, and you get your close up. Get your close ups because they're important to tell your story. If you don't, you're gonna find yourself wishing you had in post production, and then trying to figure out, do I really want to spend more money to get this close-up or not? And usually you're going to do it, and it's going to hurt.
Yeah.
So just do it when you're there. Get your close-up.
Just do it.
Hope this was informative. Hope this real talk was helpful on the power of the close-up. If you have any questions about it, or any insight or ideas you want to share, leave them in the comments down below. As always, please like, share, and subscribe. Get more people's eyes on our real talks here. We really appreciate it, and we'll see you on the next one.
See ya.